If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: words are a drug. Men overdose on them. Women sniff them out for weakness. Every time you try to explain yourself, soothe her doubts, win her back with clever lines, you're bleeding power, not gaining closeness. It doesn't matter how logical your reasons are or how sincere your love sounds. Something in her disconnects when you start chasing her with language. Not because she hates words, but because she feels something deeper when you don't speak. She feels everything you don't say. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to stop talking your way out of attraction and start letting your silence speak louder than her games. You already know the moment. She pulls away, starts acting distant, cold, different. You ask if something's wrong. She says nothing, and you, like every guy wired to fix, you try to close the gap. You call, you explain, you send long texts. You remind her how good things used to be. You ask her to open up, but every sentence you send, she slips further, colder, quieter, and deep down, you already know it. You just don't want to admit it. The more you speak, the more she forgets how to feel anything for you. Because here's the brutal truth: when you explain yourself, you're trying to control her perception of you, and she feels it. Not consciously, not in a way she could describe, but in her gut. Something about your endless explanations tastes desperate. It repels her. She doesn't feel mystery anymore. She feels pressure. And nothing kills attraction faster than the pressure to feel something she doesn't naturally feel anymore. It's not that she's evil. It's that you've made her emotions your battleground. Instead of letting her experience the silence of losing you, you fill the air with your voice. You don't give her space to miss you, to wonder what you're thinking, to imagine your strength, because you keep giving her the full map, every feeling, every thought, every justification. And the mystery dies. The fire dies. And now, she's looking for someone who can feel deeply without begging loudly. There's a moment every man must face. That moment when your mouth wants to defend yourself. Explain your side, prove your loyalty, and you don't. You just look her in the eye, calm, present, silent, and something shifts in the air. She doesn't understand it, but she feels it. A tension, a power, a gap she can't predict. The moment you stop chasing is the moment she starts feeling. You've given her the only thing that makes her remember you after she walks away, the echo of your silence. And you'll feel it too. That itch to fix. That panic that tells you say something or she'll forget you. That childish voice inside that says if I just explain, she'll come back. Kill that voice, kill it with stillness. She doesn't remember the guy who talked her ear off. She remembers the man who made her question herself. The man who didn't flinch when she withdrew. The man who made her feel like maybe, just maybe, she wasn't the one in control. It's not the words that ruin you. It's the motive behind them. You want reassurance. You want her approval. You want her to validate your emotions. But she wants to feel you without you handing it all over. When you say less, your presence expands, your energy sharpens. You stop being the guy who performs love and start becoming the man she wonders about after dark, because she's watching you in silence. Always. In ways you don't see. Every time you hold back your need to be understood, to be liked, to be forgiven, you're feeding the part of her that craves strength. Women don't fall in love with clarity. They fall into mystery, into gravity, into the unspoken energy of a man who could speak, but doesn't need to. A man who could chase, but won't. Not because he's cold, but because he respects the force of his own silence more than her temporary confusion. So you stop texting novels. You stop explaining your heart like it's a courtroom trial. You stop thinking that the more she knows, the more she'll love you. And you start embodying what no paragraph can explain. Stillness, power, presence. Not the fake kind where you pretend to be distant while checking her stories every 10 minutes. The real kind. The kind that turns your silence into a mirror. The kind that makes her sit with her own thoughts and wonder what she just lost. That's what she feels when you say less. Not indifference, but something. Something raw, ancient, a force she can't control, a presence she can't reduce to emojis and emotional leverage. She doesn't want you to beg. She wants to feel you when you walk away, to feel the cost of losing you, and she can only feel that in the absence of your voice. So you stand your ground, not with drama, not with threats, but with the one thing she's not used to: a man who's done explaining himself. That's when her mind starts spinning. That's when her emotions start catching up. That's when the power shifts. Not through punishment, through presence, through stillness, through the mystery of a man who feels everything but reveals nothing. You think the silence is passive, mind, that it means doing nothing, but it's the opposite. It's an active withdrawal of energy. It's restraint. And restraint is power. Every man who's mastered himself knows your attention is your currency. Where it flows, value grows. And when she no longer feels your attention, she doesn't feel rejected. She feels uncertain. And that's the seed of desire. Not validation, not flattery, not emotional negotiations. Uncertainty. A sense that she lost access to something she thought she owned. Let that sink in. You don't earn a woman's desire by offering more of yourself. You earn it by showing her that your presence is earned, not given. She'll never say this, but it's wired into her bones. If you're too available, her instincts switch off. If you flood her with expression, her emotions drown. She doesn't want your whole soul on the table after a cold text. She wants to know that the man she's pulling away from still holds himself like a king, and you can't fake this. Silence only works when it's rooted in truth. When your stillness isn't a performance, but a boundary. When you felt the ache of rejection, swallowed it whole, and still chosen not to explain, not to defend, not to chase. That's when silence becomes powerful. Not as a tactic, but as a reflection of who you've become. Picture this. She texts something vague, cold, distant. You read it. You feel the tightness in your chest, the heat rise in your face. Every part of you wants to send a message back. Ask what's wrong, fix the vibe, rewrite the story. But you pause, you sit, you breathe, and you don't reply. Hours pass, maybe days, and then something strange happens. She checks your profile, like she replays a voice note from weeks ago. She wonders what you're doing, why you didn't respond. She may not even want you back yet, but she feels you, and it bothers her because you didn't react, because you didn't scramble to preserve the bond, because you let it hang in the air, unspoken, and now she is the one wondering. That's the power of saying less. You become unpredictable, and unpredictability is the soil of desire. When she can't calculate your next move, her emotional mind starts scanning for clues. She overthinks. She doubts her decisions. She remembers how it felt to be near you, to be chosen by you. Not because you were loud, but because you were real, silent, steady, present. You need to understand what most men never learn. Talking isn't connection, it's noise. And when you're emotionally triggered, talking is self-sabotage. You give her all the power, every thought, every weakness, every fear, and she doesn't even want it. She might pretend to. She might even beg you to open up. But the second you pour your soul out without her earning it, the polarity collapses. You've inverted the dynamic. You've become the emotional pursuer, and she feels nothing. She can't explain it, but you can feel it when it happens. Suddenly, she's more annoyed than curious. She's polite but distracted. She calls you sweet, like a child, and you're left wondering why telling her the truth didn't bring her closer. It's because you skipped the fire, the hunger, the uncertainty. You offered yourself without invitation, and it turned her instincts off. Now contrast that with silence. She doesn't know what you're thinking. She replays the last look you gave her. She feels a space that wasn't there before, a lack of access. And if she still values you, even a little, it starts eating at her. That emotional itch, that quiet tension, that thing she can't name but can't ignore, that's the pull. That's the start of her remembering you as a man, not a comfort device. And you're not waiting by the phone. You're not refreshing her profile. You're not timing your silences like a strategy. You've gone inward. You've redirected that energy into something higher. Your work, your breath, your body, your clarity, your power. And that's what she really feels. That you've stopped orbiting her gravity, that you've reclaimed your center, and she feels the absence of your old self like a ghost. Every time you say less, you give her a chance to meet you in the silence. Not with words, but with a shift. Sometimes, it means she comes back. Sometimes it means she doesn't. But the outcome is irrelevant. Because what matters is that you stopped explaining, you stopped proving, you stopped trying to bend her emotions back into place. You became a man she feels without having to hear, and that is unforgettable. Here's what no one tells you. Women are emotional archaeologists. They dig through your words, your tone, your pauses trying to find the truth beneath what you say. But the moment you stop saying, the excavation becomes impossible. That's when they feel something primal. Something not even they can explain. Not guilt. Not nostalgia. Not even love. It's a magnetic question mark. A gap in the story. A silence that breathes its own tension. You've become the unsolved puzzle. And that is what haunts her. Because women don't remember conversations. They remember how a man's presence made them feel. And when your presence lingers in her mind without your words cluttering it, she feels it longer, like a scent that never fully leaves her coat. Like a song she can't get out of her head. That's what saying less creates. Not absence. Echo. She might text you out of nowhere. Something meaningless. Hey, or did you see that movie? That's not the real question. The real question is hidden beneath her words. It's, do I still have access to you? Don't give her a clear answer. Let her feel the weight of not knowing. Respond with calm energy, not open arms, because if you fold too fast, you kill the very tension that brought her back. You need to be more than a memory. You need to be an unknown. There's nothing more attractive to a woman than a man she can't fully figure out. The way he looked at her when she pulled away. The way he didn't flinch. The way he said nothing and still made her feel watched. That's what she replays. Not your apology. Not your essay-length texts. Not your tearful explanations. She replays your containment, your stillness, your refusal to collapse just because her feelings shifted. It's not about manipulating her. It's about mastering yourself, because when you say less, it forces you to feel more. You sit in the discomfort. You face the ache of her distance without flailing. You become immune to the cheap high of validation, and that's when something changes in you. You stop needing her attention to feel alive. You stop chasing her reaction to feel worthy. You become your own gravity, and she feels that shift. Long before she says a word, women have a radar for men who are centered. It's not about money, or muscles, or charm. It's about energetic independence. The kind that says, I want you, but I don't need you. You can't fake that energy. You can only earn it through silence, through standing still in the storm, through resisting the urge to fix a wound by bleeding out your thoughts. That's what separates boys from men. A boy reacts, speaks too soon, tries to solve what needs to be felt. A man waits, watches, speaks only when the silence has done its work, and you know when to speak. When it adds to your value, when it holds weight, when it doesn't come from fear, that's when your words cut like a blade instead of dripping like water. And she knows the difference. Every woman does. Even if she won't admit it, especially when she won't admit it. Sometimes she'll test you, push you, say things designed to trigger you into breaking your silence. She might say, I just don't feel it anymore. Or I think we're too different. Don't defend, don't flinch. Let her words hang in the air like fog, because that fog is her confusion, not your cue to speak. When you don't rise to the bait, she feels something she didn't expect to doubt. Doubt in her own words. Doubt in her emotional accuracy. Doubt in the part of her that thought walking away would make you beg. And here's the paradox: the more you let her doubt herself, the more she starts remembering you. Not the nice guy, not the explainer, not the good communicator. The presence, the man who didn't move when her love did. The man who didn't crumble under distance. The man who didn't trade his value for one last conversation. That's why she feels something when you say less. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you've finally become hard to forget. But here's where most men fall apart. They don't understand the cost of silence. They think it's a trick, a means to get her back. So they wait counting days, checking messages, holding their breath. But that's not silence, that's still noise. That's still dependence, just quieter. And she can feel it. She can feel when your silence is a trap, when it's timed, when it's trembling under the weight of unspoken hope. That's not presence, right? That's performance. Real silence has no expectation. It's not a waiting room for her return. It's a funeral for who you used to be. It's you staring your own emptiness in the face and deciding not to run, not to reach for her, not to beg the past to give you a future. Silence isn't a strategy. It's a grave. And the man who walks away from that grave with his spine straight, he's the one she can't stop remembering. Because he didn't collapse. He vanished. Not in bitterness, not in revenge, but in sovereignty. That man didn't retreat, he ascended. And that haunts her far more than any confrontation ever could. This is what you have to understand. You're not just showing her strength, you're reminding her of it. Deep inside, every woman is drawn to the calm, unshakable energy of a man who holds his own center. She might test it, try to poke holes in it, but once she feels it, truly feels it, it's unforgettable. Because it's rare, and women remember rare, especially when rare doesn't beg to be noticed. Think of the men she's known, the ones who folded, who cried on the phone, who chased after nothing, who broke down the door just to be let back into a cage. And then there's you, the one who walked, the one who didn't explain, the one who said less and meant every breath of it. You didn't hide your pain. You wore it like armor. Quiet, heavy, real. And when she lays awake in the dark long after the noise of new faces fades, you're the one who returns. Not as a text, not as a voicemail, but as a feeling. The ache of not knowing what you're thinking. The silence that speaks louder than any apology. The image of you standing at the edge of goodbye, saying nothing yet meaning everything. She will talk about closure, but what she really means is control. You denied her that. You let the silence remain open. And in that space, she doesn't just feel loss. She feels lack. Not of you, but of her grip on you. That's what disturbs her. Not your absence, but your evolution. You became untouchable not by rising above her, but by sinking so deep into your own self that she no longer had a map for your heart. And here's the final blow. If she comes back, it won't be for your words. It'll be for your energy, that unspoken pull, the mystery, the restraint. The way you remind her of something bigger than comfort, the fire of being in the presence of a man who does not need her approval to feel alive. And if she doesn't come back, then you still win. Because silence cuts both ways. It separates her from you, and you from who you were when you couldn't stop talking.